onto talking, top rope walking, ultimate Xing, serious flexing, never be vague with your boy Craig, and opinion mixing from Pete to Nixon, keep doing things in an impactful way, bloody nonsense as the Brits say, talking bloody nonsense.
Yes, it's me, it's the MIC Craig, aka Mr. Impact, one and only Peter Nixon. This is Talking Bloody Nonsense, right here on the TNA IW channel. It's a new week, it's a new Impact, but first things first. Nixon, how's it going?
All good here, thank you. I've got another tin of peaches and cream, Tiny Rebel. Kaylee is away at the moment. She just messaged me a picture. They've gone out for dinner. Where they are, they've got the Tiny Rebel Key Lime Lager on draft
of the main one, because it's always like the same videos always running.
Whilst out
Me and
for work.
Goldie have seen the evolution of the commercials, but
jealous,
there's still
honestly.
a long way to go.
Yeah,
There's been,
I
I think,
sorry to get going with a beer tonight. It's just wasn't up for it. I'm on lemonade,
Okay.
the diet lemonade, because gotta stop drinking sugar. Stop the sugar crap.
Do you know what? I used to drink Coke off the gun at work.
From the studio
A fair
basement
amount of it.
my house,
And I
aka
switched
all I
to
got in
zero
separation.
recently, and
It's
now
DJZ.
not only do I
It's
feel
DJZ.
better, I've lost a little bit of my beer belly, and
Recording
I tried.
now.
I think I had a
Hello,
half
everyone.
of
Welcome
Coke the other day, and I didn't really enjoy it. It's too sweet. I'm all about the Coke Zero now, baby.
Yeah, I had to go cold turkey when it comes to Coke because I was drinking far too much of it. I was getting like 2 packs every week. But anywho, well, first things first, I hope everyone is feeling
got the
oozy.
more productive.
It's important that everyone feels oozy. Which I know this is a WWE podcast, but I fucking love the Bloodline. But
That segment will go down in history. They'll be playing that for years to come.
fantastic. But this is an Impact Wrestling podcast, and we're not going to start with some Impact Wrestling. We'll talk British wrestling. We don't talk of 1 week and then like almost 2 weeks in a row. It comes up.
Late TNA Jams.
But I want
My name
to
is
talk a
DJ
little bit
G.
about something.
And
in
as
that-
always, I'm coming to you from
Rev Pro
the studio
recently
basement,
live streamed
aka
one of their
what I got
shows.
in the separation.
TNT have been
But
on
today's
pay-per-view
episode is
along with
really
GCW,
special, because
and
instead of doing this
it's
alone,
becoming
I have two friends along
a
with me.
bit more regular.
Battle
Pro Wrestling
Royal
Eve
edition
tend to live stream their
of like
stuff quite a lot.
TNA Jams.
British wrestling companies are now,
Respect.
some of them anyway, are branching out into live streaming and the pay-per-view side of things. In terms of live streaming, there's a worry amongst some wrestling fans, British wrestling fans, and
Alright,
communities
here.
online and stuff
The
like that,
Battle Royal edition.
that
Because
if
next week,
every
next
company
Tuesday,
starts to live stream their
there will
shows,
be a
that
TNA Impact
it will the
Battle Royal.
attendance
It'll be the
in
gimmick
the
Battle
venue will
Royal.
go down.
20 men will
which
enter.
is-
One
I can
will win.
sort of see where they're coming
The
from,
Gretchen
given
Wilson,
that
all jacked
if
up
a pay-per-view, tournament pay-per-view
We gotta talk
costs
about that.
15 quid,
our DJ
but the
Warfare
tickets are
picks
about 30,
and DJ Black Snow.
I can understand that.
When
What's
you're jacked
your
up
take
these.
on if would it necessarily bring a live attendance down, or obviously difficult
You want to
to
be fat burner?
tell, but
You want to be a
hypothetically,
big man. You want to be a
is
real
that
big man.
should that be a
You get
concern
more
for
perplexed.
British
Oh,
wrestling companies who are going to branch out into live streaming their stuff?
straight from the Isle of
I don't
Anna.
think so. I don't think. If
Strong.
if
Looking
a
good. Looking
company
Big man.
like
That Sanjay's a big
Rev
dick.
Pro is live streaming all their shows, I don't think attendance would go down at their shows, because they're just reaching a broader audience. You know. Also, if they're live streaming, they're you know, they're open to a bigger audience, they're going to get more people come to the shows. I don't think you can't compare going to a live show to watching a live show, because it's all about the experience. Even if it's more expensive, even if it's double the price, or usually more than that, because you've got transport, food, merchandise.
Yeah.
And if you want to go front row, there's probably a bump as well. Yeah, it's all about the experience, getting to meet the wrestlers at intermission, buy their merchandise, and be a part of the show. You know, take in the atmosphere. So no, I don't think live streaming a show would take away from the future attendance, because you can't compare the two experiences. And yeah, like I say, it's if you're live streaming a show, it's open to a broader audience. That's my take on it, Craig.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's being at a show and being part of the atmosphere when something huge happens. For instance, there are things that happen at live shows that obviously most companies pretty much every company puts their stuff on demand now, so you can watch it after the fact anyway. But there are some things that transfer well to a live audience that don't transfer well when it's being watched on a screen. For instance, at a recent Progress show, the Sunshine Machine, TK Cooper and member spot. It was I believe TK was on Mambo's shoulders. The top rope dives, which it's 3 dives just happened at the same time, but it took a while for them to get into place. It's the security guards to be there to catch them, and people online who saw it through their phone screens were shitting on it, but the live audience really popped for it. So it's being part of a show is when you get to contribute to that atmosphere. There's nothing quite like it. But as I said, it's shows. It can be really expensive. I think one PW is up to about 80 quid, but that's front row. But again, they have world-class talent coming out. They have some big people on the world on their shows.
Yeah.
So again, that's obviously a factor.
And people will travel to the show. It's not just going to be people based in Yorkshire.
Exactly.
People will travel from all over the country to these shows.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and it's in York, I think it's right. Yeah, I'm looking at getting to that show because I want to see Ty Valkyrie and John Morrison, Johnny Impact, Johnny Every Name. I want to see Will Ospreay versus Robbie X. That's the thing. Live streaming is obviously great for people who can't always afford to be at the shows, but no, I don't necessarily think the attendance will go down drastically, because people always want to be at shows. There's no major comparison.
Yeah,
between the two. It's all about people watching it, and I said it'd be available all over the world. TNT versus GCW, that was streamed on Fight, and it's already having a good impact with GCW coming over here and helping out the British scene as a whole. If you saw social media, I recently spoke to Leon Slater, who is heading to GCW on November 20th. That happened because he went to the TNT show and was put on the card. And again, little spoiler alert, but I spoke to Tony Deppen at GCW's TNT, and that's the reason he's now going to be on GCW, but you can hear more in depth on that when that interview drops. Very, very soon. Very excited about. So it gives these wrestlers with incredible talent to be seen by a worldwide audience, which will, for a lot of these people, that the aim is to be signed by a major promotion, and that's only going to help. I mean, see, live streaming is great, but because if you live stream it, you're more likely to get more people watching it as it airs instead of 2 to 3 weeks later when the company puts it up on their on-demand service or with YouTube or the network or Fight, whatever it is. So it's I think it can only be a benefit if more companies do it. I know it's only a handful, but it certainly be a benefit to British wrestling as a whole.
Yeah, well, like you said, it takes the show worldwide as opposed to just localization. So that means let's use Leon Slater as an example. If he was on the TNT versus GCW show and the show wasn't streamed, then it would just be the people in that vicinity that would be aware of the match and indeed the show. Because the show was streamed, more people will see Leon Slater. That means more people will check out his back catalogue. More people will be aware of him. More people will be buying his merchandise. More people will be going to see him at live shows. So it's all about advancing these wrestling companies, getting their names out there in national and international. So yeah, I don't think it holds any company back by live streaming it. Quite the reverse. Yeah. It's something that if a company wants to build themselves up, it's something they need to do.
Yeah, I think the one I'm majorly aware of would be Pro Wrestling Eve. I think they're the ones that I really know start live streaming, and the crop of talent they have for most of their shows. Like one of the biggest views in Pro Wrestling Eve is probably Session Moth Martina versus Su Yung. It's one of the highest rated watched matches on YouTube, and rightly so. It is a banger. It has to be. And that being on YouTube, then that exposes more people to the talents they have. So, which can only benefit the UK scene, which can only benefit the UK wrestlers and everyone else involved in the show to get them seen worldwide. So it can only benefit in a positive way.
Yes, exactly.
So with that, there's some. That was some positive chat we had. Now, I think you're probably going to go some slightly more negative stuff, but it's not intended to be. It's just where we are. Tommy Dreamer. It's always been, especially when it is the last 2-3 years in Impact, has had quite a lot of people talking about him, particularly online, about the amount of TV time he gets, the matches he gets, and people he beats. I'll just ask you this: should Tommy Dreamer be on TV this much? Tommy Dreamer as he is right now?
No. Here's the thing: Tommy Dreamer is a legend. And Tommy Dreamer can still work. But he should not be on Impact Wrestling as much as he is. Bust him out twice, 3 times a year, fantastic. You know he's gonna get viewers on YouTube. I'm sure he gets good numbers. Into like if, for example, I haven't seen the numbers, but I'm sure the Dreamer and Bully Ray versus Juice and Chris Bay match, like the highlights that went on YouTube, I'm sure that got good numbers.
Yeah.
Not just because of Bully Ray and Juice Robinson, but let's use another example. Dreamer versus, if Dreamer were to wrestle Raj Singh on next week's show, and they put the highlights on there, because Dreamer's in it, it would get good numbers because he's a legend and he's a name. But he can't be on Impact every week, even if it's just a backstage thing. It's hard to say because I like Dreamer. I was a fan of his work, and even after he got cancelled for that brief period of time for his comments on Dark Side of the Ring, which he's apologized for, and I'm over it, and it seems like most people are. I forgot my train of thought then. I'm a fan of his work. He's a legend, but in 2022 he should not be featured this much because he's taking TV time away from people they should be developing, like Chris Bay, like Ace Austin, like Speedball Mike Bailey. That's my take on it.
And again, I've got to agree, especially when it comes to the TV time. Tommy Dreamer's been on TV twice. That's his Bound for Glory. And Death Dolls have been on. I don't think they've been on TV for the last 2 weeks since winning the tag titles.
I don't think they've had a match on TV, have they? They did a 6-woman tag after winning the belts.
So that's the week. That was the week a few days after Bound for Glory, right? But Dreamer's been on TV. It's been 3 weeks since Bound for Glory, 4 weeks now, and Dreamer's been on TV for 3 weeks straight. I'm with it. Dreamer is great. Like everyone in Impact, they have their place within the company. There's Impact don't just put you on TV for no reason. There's always something around it. Dreamer always has, for the most part, has a reason to be on TV. Obviously, right now, he's got a thing with Bully. Fine, is what it is. But he shouldn't be on TV this much. When you've got a roster full of people, which they have, is quite a lot of people on this roster. Obviously, not as much as some other promotions, but there's still people who need TV time to progress their careers. Tommy Dreamer's had his career. Apart from winning a world championship, there's nothing else for Tommy Dreamer to do. And as much as I'm a fan of Tommy Dreamer, he's not going to win a major world championship. Obviously, I could be completely wrong because it's happened before. Obviously, not necessarily with Impact, but Chris Jericho, you've got Goldberg, you've got whoever. But Tommy Dreamer isn't on that level, as horrible as it sounds. Dreamer is a solid worker, and a legend. He's worked for every major promotion in the world. So he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no doubt that Tommy Dreamer is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But there's other people who could be on TV, and because Impact only have an hour and a half a week. Obviously, it's 2 hours if you watch it on the TV, but it's an hour and a half of just pure Impact.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to be too negative on it, but it's
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Craig. But let me be very clear. I'm not saying fire Tommy Dreamer. I'm not saying that at all. Dreamer is a great mind. He has a great mind for the business, and it's because he's a fan. You know, aside from all the stuff he's done in the business, he is a fan of the business, and you can tell like when he painted his face like Road Warrior Animal just after he died. When he comes out with the dusty polka dots on his gear, he is a fan, and that translates well in terms of booking minds, in my experience. So, yes, keep him on the team, keep him as part of the booking committee, and I do not have a problem with busting Dreamer out for this Bully Ray storyline. Use him in the one match, great. But once this Bully thing has run its course, let's put Dreamer back on the shelf in terms of the wrestler Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
Put him back on the shelf. Keep him around as part of the booking committee, of course. Sorry for stuttering, but I'd love to meet Dreamer, and I'd love to, just pick his brain and go out for a drink with him, because I think he'd be a great guy and just a wonderful conversation. So I really don't want this to come across as negative towards Dreamer.
No,
it's just we Impact Wrestling need to be featuring the younger guys, the future, the present, more so than the past. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, no, Tommy Dreamer is. It seems like it's a great guy to be around. Before we move on, like a year or so ago, I wrote an article about Tommy Dreamer when he got his Impact World title shot against Rich Swann. And
that was a great match. Yeah.
When I wrote an article about it, and and he tweeted it himself. Like he found it and posted it to his own. He didn't retweet it. He got the link and posted it to his own Twitter.
That's so cool.
And like he forgot to tag me, and I didn't forget. I didn't care. The point is, he shared it on his own volition. Then when someone tagged me saying that Tommy Dreamer tweeted it, Dreamer messaged me and said, "Oh, sorry, I forgot to tag you. It was a great article." Like he didn't need to do that in the slightest. I was just happy that he even saw it. So Dreamer is a great guy, but yes, is the rest of Tommy Dreamer. Like, bring him out for when they're in Philly. Bring him and get that
New
pop.
York, because from Yonkers.
Yeah, get that pop, get that nostalgia pop, but he doesn't need to be facing and beating the people who are on the way to the top.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't help anyone. So that's that. Tommy Dreamer has nothing on Tommy Dreamer. It's just no one to not do it. Like, but we'll move on from that. And Overdrive is coming up November 18th, Kentucky, Paris Town Hall. So far, we've got Frankie Kazarian cashing options here, and Josh Alexander facing for the Impact World Championship, and we've got tag team titles, Heath and Rhino against the major players. But from there, what other matches do you see being on this card, and like where? So let's just go over the title matches. We can't really pick out feuds, but okay, so knockouts title. Where do you see that one going, if it even is defended? Who's Jordan Grace facing?
It seems to me like they're doing stuff with Giselle Shaw at the moment. The fact that she's grouped with Vexed, who are interested in getting the Knockouts tag titles back, but Giselle still keeps referencing the Knockouts world title. So I think that's the direction I'll go for Overdrive. Jordan Grace versus Giselle Shaw, which will be fantastic.
Yes, it'll be a banger. You see, but yeah, I have to agree. It's either going to be Giselle or Mickey James, but I think Mickey's it's a bit too soon. Mickey, yeah, it's probably going to be
too soon for the last rodeo. Yeah.
It's probably going to be Mickey versus Taylor Wilde.
Oh yeah, I'm game for that.
I think that will be where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So, Knockouts tag. Will even be defended. We haven't seen Vexton. I haven't seen Death Dolls since they came to Vegas. It's like, where's this one go? I mean, obviously Chelsea is potentially heading back to WWE if the rumors are to be believed. What's happened with the Knockouts tag titles? Maybe, but I don't see how it could work. I did have Jeff also mentioned it. Mickey and Taylor teaming up for going after the Knockouts tag titles. That's the direction, but it seems like they're going to go with Mickey and Taylor as in singles. But so Knockouts tag, what's happening with that? Because it's going to take a while.
Well, here's the thing. Because Mickey James is on the last rodeo, if she loses, she retires.
Yeah.
I can't see them winning the tag titles, so I don't think that's the direction I'll go. Plus, babyface team versus babyface team, it's not a good dynamic.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll do that. The only other team is Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans, and they could very well do that as just a throwaway, not a throwaway, but
as a plus special,
a strong defense for the Death Dolls.
Yeah. The Knockouts tag is difficult because they have been kind of hot-shotted a little bit. And maybe we do get Vexed, and that's it for Vexed. But the Knockouts tag team champions haven't been on TV in about 3 weeks. I don't know where this one goes. I do really want to see them be more prominent because every other Knockouts tag team have been. Inspiration, Vexed, the influence. There we go. They were even. That was kind of that was another hot shot, but they were featured a lot more. Death Dolls they're great. Like, and we haven't seen Tyre, or we haven't seen any member of the Death Dolls. I don't even know if they were at Vegas for tapings. Like, it's that point where there's only 2 more episodes in Vegas. So I don't know what's going to happen here, because they have to, if they're going to sort Knockouts tag titles, they've got to do it in the next couple of weeks before they head to Kentucky. So, but I think I'm going to say I'm going to pencil in Vexed for the Knockouts tag title match.
Okay.
Because maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
I could see it being Tasha and Savannah. Can I just say about the Paris Town Hall in Louisville? When Sacrifice was announced for that venue, I thought they were running from the Davis Arena, which, if you saw Throwback Throwdown, the IPWF show in December, it's tiny and it's a bit of a shithole. So I wasn't, even though Sacrifice had a great card on paper, I wasn't looking forward to the show just because I thought it was the Davis Arena. I'm very relieved to see it was in the Paris Town Hall, which isn't a big venue. And there are venues that Impact runs that look better on television. But holy shit, what a great hot crowd. And Sacrifice was the show where you got Jonah and PCO, Jay White and Alex Shelley, so many other great matches. And the crowd were hot for the whole show. So I eat my words about the Paris Town Hall, because it's a great venue for Impact to run. And Overdrive, they're going to put on a good show, and the crowd will be there for it. So I'm very much looking forward to Overdrive on that front.
Yeah, it's with Louisville, Kentucky, and Ohio. Obviously, they're close by. They found their audience in that city, in that state. They found it, and they know they can get the most out of them.
Mm-hmm.
But they found it in Vegas. They found it in New York to some extent as well. I like this venue. I'm excited for it, but obviously we keep moving forward with Overdrive. Obviously the DMC can't be defended because Myers is competing for the tag titles.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, maybe have to look into this as another topic at some point. DMC seems to have, I don't. It's a bit. There's no challenges for it anymore. I can't see much going on in the DMC.
I wonder if, because Brian Myers is not defending it on Overdrive, they'll do some sort of number one contender multi-man match.
Maybe, but it's, it's supposed to be an open title, but again, no knockouts have really challenged for it since which is interesting. But as far as there's pretty much that match is done because they can't. Oh, there's the X division, but we can kind of predict that. I mean, we could have been a bit last week, but just get an official match for Overdrive. X division title. Who's goes forward? For me, I think it's Trey Miguel and Black Taurus. I think that's where they go with that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the brackets. Yeah, I think it will be the final at Overdrive, right? The final of the tournament. Yeah. I think Black Taurus wins his bracket, and I think you're right. Trey beats Speedball in the semi-final, and that's the final. I think you're right. It's difficult because Trey's won it a couple of times. And Trey was a great champion, and Trey will have great matches. One of my favorite matches of the year was Trey and Speedball from Emergence.
I think that sounds right.
Or Against All Odds, one of them.
Yeah.
Absolute classic. Loved it. So Trey and Taurus, or Trey and PJ Black, and PJ Black and Yuya Uemura, isn't it? On BTI. So yeah, mind you, PJ Black could go the distance and be the new champion.
That's the thing. I wouldn't be annoyed with any of these people in this tournament winning the championship. They'd all make very credible champions. Yuya is obviously, Yuya's on his excursion tour. That wouldn't be a bad way to get noticed by New Japan again. But I don't know. I think Black Taurus is going to be the next X Division champion. I want it to be Speedball, but like you're saying, then the Kazarian match may as well never happened.
Yeah. Taurus, he's been with the company for a long time, and at times it felt like he's been overlooked. It kind of wasted as a member of Decay. So it'd be a great way of thanking him for his time in the company so far by actually giving him the ball. Yeah,
it'd be nice to see, because Taurus he's had bangers even before he signed to Impact.
Mm-hmm.
It was in Mexico. It's Rhino, Taurus, and Moose. That was great, but obviously I think that was more so they could say, "Oh, it's 3 animals in a match." Like that. It was still a good match, but it was definitely for the gimmick of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but I think, it's gonna be Black Taurus, and I hope we get to see him defend it against Vikingo, who's just got his visa, although he has just come out down with an injury.
Oh, no.
Just as he gets his visa to start traveling, he gets injured, which sucks because Vikingo, it was so impacting to sign him right now.
AEW will snap Vikingo up. I guarantee it. Guarantee it.
And that will be kind of frustrating because, although I think Impact have a shout because they've used him on their shows and they've made him. The Impact fandom know who Vikingo is because he's had bangers when he goes to Mexico, like with TJP. A match against TJP was insane, and there's so many more. But I think Impact have a shout. It's like anyone has a shout, but I hope we get Vikingo because it's been on Impact's fans list for quite a while. So I'm all for it. So just before we move on to this time will be the final 20 because we have something fun planned. We need to say, obviously, Macklin is next for the World Championship, surely, and he needs to be featured on this card. Macklin get in this one. I've got a feeling it's going to be Bully Ray. I think we get Macklin and Bully Ray.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I would like for the Corey Trophy to be on the line, but it's not going to happen.
You don't think they'll go with Bully Ray versus Ace Austin?
Again, that is more than possible. But I think they can get that one wrapped up before they head to, because there's not a lot in it. It's going to be proven that it's not Bully. It'll be whoever. I mean, I've got a feeling it could be Madman Fulton.
Okay, that's out of the blue.
I know, out of nowhere, but it could potentially be Fulton. I wouldn't mind seeing him back. They're heading to Louisville. Fulton isn't far away. So, and obviously
they have the connection.
Yeah, Fulton may feel like he owes Ace one, so it could be. But again, I've got a feeling they'll go with Macklin and Bully. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I've just got that feeling. Macklin needs to be involved in this card somehow. How do you see him fitting in if he is putting him on this one?
I think you could be right with the Macklin versus Bully Ray. They're doing Sammy versus Eric Young on Impact tonight, right?
Yeah.
What else is on Impact tonight, Craig?
You've got.
I put you on the spot there. Sorry.
Division. So you've got the X Division tournament. I actually have the Impact website open, so I can look. The event.
The X Division title tournament is Kenny King and Speedball, isn't it?
It has King and Speedball. Aussie Open versus Kazarian and Alexander.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one.
It's gonna be a banger. And you've got Moose versus Ace Austin.
Moose and Ace Austin. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a banging card. It's a young Callahan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just while we're on the subject, if it's not Madman Fulton, who do you think did attack Ace Austin? Is someone on the roster currently?
Well, fortunately, I have the roster in front of me, and I don't know. Well, I don't know how it goes, but it could have been Juice. Juice is signed to AEW. I don't know if he's allowed to be Bullet Club and All Elite at the same time. I know they have a relationship.
Been confirmed about Juice being signed to AEW.
Okay, well, there's reports he has, and if
it would make sense because Tony Storm, his fiance or wife,
I believe wife,
is there and is the champion, so that would make sense. But I don't know if he's there yet. Can I tell you who I think it is?
Go ahead.
I think it's Bully Ray.
Okay, I just think they're gonna. interesting.
Everyone who's saying to Josh, "Don't trust Bully Ray,"
Yeah,
is correct, and Bully Ray will fuck Josh over. I'm not saying he's going to win the championship, but I think Bully Ray's going to show his true colours, show the fact that he hasn't changed after all these years. And yeah, it'll be Bully that attacked Ace.
Okay, so quickly before we move on the Bully thing, you mentioned it's going to screw Josh. Do you think, because if it's like a Money in the Bank style cash in type thing, surely Bully will have to win. Like, is there a scenario where if you want heat on Bully and he loses anyway after attacking from behind and cashing in like Moose did, there has to be the heat on Bully. Does Bully lose that though?
It would make Bully look really weak. If, for example, Josh beats Kazarian at Overdrive, Bully attacks, cashes in, and Josh wins again. It would make sense if Bully's still the dickhead heel we know him to be, the Bully Ray character I'm talking about now. It would make sense for Bully to cash in after Josh has wrestled, after he's knackered, and Bully to win the world title, so Josh can chase again.
And then the internet will probably burn down.
I think Impact will lose a bit of their reputation that they've just started rebuilding. The old TNA reputation is sort of being pushed aside now, and Impact is starting to build up their reputation with the hardcore fans. I think if Bully Ray were to then win the world title, it would be a step backwards. Even if it is for Josh to be able to chase and regain the world title soon after, those people are going to hang their hats on the fact that Bully Ray is the world champion in 2022. So I hope that's not the direction they go.
And that's the thing, Impacts are making a pretty big deal of the fact that Josh just took over Sting in terms of longest world championship reigns.
Fourth and only.
Yeah, and I think it's for Josh to beat Bully on the way to becoming the longest reigning world heavyweight champion. I think that benefits more, although it doesn't necessarily benefit Bully too much. But again, Bully he's already two-time world champion, so I think we can let that bit slide. And then for Macklin to come in and beat Josh as longest reigning world champion, I think it just straps that rocket to his back and sends him even higher up than he is going right now. So I think Hard to Kill, Josh beats Bully, and then Slammiversary, Rebellion, Macklin beats Josh. That's how's it going.
Oh, I'm still saying PCO has to challenge Josh at Hard to Kill.
Yeah, I would obviously love to see that, but I just don't know. I think this Eddie and PCO feud goes to Hard to Kill, and they have a Monsters Ball or a lot along those lines. Again, I don't know anything, so no. So now we're going to move on, and we're going to take it to final 20 this time. So yeah, that works better. And we're going to take a look at the roster of Impact, and one by one, we're going to give our opinion on whether this person should be kept on the roster or whether they should be taken off the roster, and people we keep, how we'd utilize them if we were the Buckers.
Yeah, it's a state of the Impact roster address, and I totally stole the idea from Jim Cornette.
I said, one and only time Jim Cornette gets a shout out on this podcast. The one and only time Corny gets a shout out.
Motherfucker!
I still remember when he said I had the dumbest take of the internet. I wear that badge with pride. I pissed off Jim Cornette so much that he said I had a rubbish take. Awesome. I wear that with pride. But anywho, so we're going to go one by one. I'm not going to list. We're going everyone. I'm currently looking at the roster. Are we going to mention the commentators as well, or the backstage people?
Yeah, the whole crew, referee. Well, maybe not referees.
I look at that one here anyway, so it's fine. So we're going to start off. I think a pretty easy one. Ace Austin.
Keep, and you transition him into the world title picture.
Yeah, I have to agree. Ace Austin's kind of been underutilized a little bit for my liking the last few months. He's just again Bullet Club, which is cool, but hasn't really done a lot. And we know we've seen what he's capable of. He can be a world champion and should be a world champion.
I think it's because the Bullet Club are used as tweeners, and Bullet Club, the faction, should be heels. Ace Austin was a great dickhead heel when he was trying to hit on Trey's mum.
Which is great.
So yeah, I would keep Ace and Trey as a tag team, as a heel tag team. Maybe even give them a run with the titles, but slowly transition Ace into the world title picture.
Yeah, I agree. Ace was a fantastic heel. Just was being a prick, and I was all for it. One of my favorite things with Ace and the Eddie Edwards feud is when Eddie and Lish were battering Ace with kendo sticks in the hallway of a hotel, and the pizza guy just walked in the background and stood there, watched it for a few seconds, then walked away, which is just excellent. Yeah, excellent stuff. Next up, again, I'd say a pretty easy one. Alex Shelley. Keep. Me keep.
100% keep. The only issue with Shelley is his day job going to affect his Impact bookings, which, I applaud wrestlers for having real jobs. Yeah. You need to support your family, and you need a contingency plan if you get injured.
Yeah,
I can speak from experience on that one.
Yeah.
So I would, pardon me. I think Shelley's a great person to have in your locker room. He's a positive influence. He's a locker room leader. So yeah, I would certainly keep Alex Shelley on the roster. I don't know if I would put the world title on him necessarily. I'd keep Shelley and Sabin as a team, because Motor City Machine Gun is the most impactful tag team in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't think I would give him the big push just because we don't know how reliable he is.
Yeah, I get it. Like I said, I'd keep Shelley too. He's someone with a lot of knowledge to keep around. His fingerprints all over the rest of the business, as he said, and he's spot on about that. Next up, Alicia. I love Lish, but she hasn't had a major impact. Like, she's again a veteran essentially. She's been around a while, but I say if it was a subs bench, I'd put her on that. But if it's just gone, sorry, Lish. But I love Lish. I think she's got great energy, and when she's in a feud with Eddie, or with Eddie against someone, she's great. Like at Homecoming, when she just went apeshit on moves, I love that. When she can do that, fine. But if it's just stay or go, gotta go.
Here's the thing with the way Alicia has been used over the years. She's never been a serious contender for any championship, and therefore, I don't think the fans will ever see her as a serious contender. You could build her up all you want, but she's not winning the big title, so I'm afraid she's got to go. And I know she's a positive influence in the locker room. People really like her backstage. Like she's friends with everyone. But yeah, if we're making cuts, I'm afraid Alicia is on the cutting block.
Yeah. Next up, I mean, I think we've seen him twice. Aiden Prince. I like him.
I think Aiden Prince has talent. I don't think he's got much charisma. He hasn't really got a character, and the X division is pretty stacked. So I don't think we need Aiden Prince. I would cut him.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I really like Aiden Prince. You know, from the one that only is down in Canada. It was great. Had some epic matches. Had a great match against Bhupinder in at one of the Philly tapings, I think. No, it helped Bhupinder get over. Like people were booing Aiden Prince and cheering for Bhupinder, which was the whole point. So, but yeah, I think it's a go from me. Speaking of Bhupender's up next. I say keep.
Yeah, I agree. What are your reasons?
If you'd asked me this like 6 months ago, I would have said no, because I don't see what Impact see. Now I'm starting to. Impact clearly saw something in him that no one else did, and it's paying off, because I genuinely thought he was going to win the DMC, and I wanted him to win the DMC. It's a homegrown talent that Impact hasn't had in a long time, and so I'm all for keeping Bhupinder, because they tried it. They're trying to do the Shearer thing. Shearer didn't necessarily work. Bhupinder can, because Bhupinder has he can wrestle. He can get a reaction out of the crowd, and it's not just go away.
Yeah, I totally agree. Bhupinder clearly works hard on his craft. I think he could probably use a mouthpiece, but that's because his English clearly isn't his first language. But he has a raw charisma about him. He needs different theme tune. His music is awful. But that's such a nitpicky thing. He's young. He's got a lot of talent. There's stuff you can do with Bhupinder Gujjar, and we know how important the Indian market is. I think it's important that you keep Bhupinder around.
I think I agree. A mouthpiece would help. I mean, I'd want to see him cut a promo in his own language.
Yeah.
See how that translates, because he's not trying to think of what that word is translated to. He can be fluid and go for. And you don't have to understand a promo to get it. As long as you can feel what they're saying, I guess it translates well. So I would have Bhupinder maybe start doing a few more promos in his own language, because he can really go for it without having to think of what he's going to say. Make sure he's got the right translation.
Sorry, Craig, I lost you for a few seconds then.
That's Taurus, for me, a 100% keep, and the next X Division champion.
Yeah, I agree. Transition him out of Decay, not necessarily like as a feud, an amiable, an amicable transition out of Decay, so he can go his own, create his own path. And yeah, I don't know if I'd put the X Division title on him, certainly not straight away, but I would have him as a top contender for sure.
Yeah, he's a great hand. Impact do well when it comes to the big guys, and I think as X Division champion, he could be on the level of Samoa Joe. Like he really could. Next up, we've got the digital media champion Brian Myers, and for me again, I'd say go. I like Brian Myers, but and besides, he's been a great digital media champion. There's just not much else to do. Yeah, you can put the major players, but Cardona's a star of his own. So I'd say go for Brian Myers.
I totally disagree. I would keep Brian Myers. He's a recognizable name, even if he's not under his recognizable name of Kurt Hawkins. Brian Myers, he is a face that people recognize. Once he gives up the digital media champion and puts someone over and does them a favor, because it'll be a boost for them beating Brian Myers, I would keep him as an opening guy, which I guess he is already, but because he's a recognizable face, keep him as a heel. Your traditional sort of your hometown sucks heel, because it gets the casual fans invested if he's the first person they see on the show. And then we're going up the roster a bit here, but someone like Heath comes out and shuts him up.
Yeah,
that would be how I start every house show. Brian Myers comes out, you guys shut up, and then Heath comes out and decks him and gets the big pop.
Yeah, they did do that. The TV tapings post, like when they first time Impact had a crowd in for when Myers won the Christian Kitchen Sacrifice, I believe, or Victory Road, one or the other. Like at the end of that TV taping, because Jeff was there, putting a promo after they won. Oops, so that damn Wi-Fi. Myers cut promos, and Sonny Callahan came out and power drove him, and then everyone went home happy. Myers was still in the ring after everyone left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he definitely has a spot in terms of doing stuff like that.
Yeah. So next up, Bully Ray, and for me, it's keep, but for every reason you give for Myers.
I would keep him until the end of this storyline, and then let him go. Because what else could he do after this?
That's fair enough. I mean, he did a pretty good job when, obviously it's not the same because Team Devon can't wrestle anymore. But when Team 3D went back to WWE, they were there to put over the younger guys, the Usos, Enzo and Cass, and whoever, New Day. They had to put them over, and it worked well. But he can do that role very well.
Yeah.
So I keep him for every reason. Give him Myers. Chelsea Green, it's a bye from me. There's not a lot there for me. Vex are a very good tag team. She's a very good heel, but I'm not too fussed on Chelsea Green whether she sticks around or goes. It's not like it's Deonna Purrazzo.
That's the thing, isn't it? I agree with you. I enjoy Vexed as a tag team, but Chelsea Green on her own, nah. I would get rid. Yeah.
Chris Bay, 100% keep. I mean, I shouldn't even ask the question because it's
Yeah.
blatantly obvious.
Keep him and actually give him some wins.
Yeah. I think option C is a good path for Chris Bay.
Well, yeah, but we've seen it a couple of times in the last 2 years. So I would keep him in the X Division for a bit. Maybe do the tag run with Ace. And then, because I said transition Ace into the world title picture, I would have Bay do the same thing. And like, if they're a tag team, maybe they've had the tag team titles and they've had a rough split as a team. Have them feud for a bit in the heavyweight division. Maybe even, like, if Josh is still the world champion, do a 3-way.
Yeah.
I think that would be a hell of a match and a really cool storyline.
So I think we may split this over into a second part because we're running pretty near the time, or we're bang on the time now. But
And we're still on C.
Yeah, we'll do one more, and then I think we'll make this. We'll continue this on next week's show because it's quite fun, and hopefully gets people watching as well. But Chris, for every reason, same reason as Alex Shelley, gotta keep him. It's
Yeah, I 100% agree. But I would use him more than I would Sherry because he's more reliable. I know that's the wrong word because Sherry's reliable, obviously, but Sabin, this has been his life for the past few years. You know, I don't think he's missed a show. And he's done every pay-per-view, every TV taping. He's been there.
Yeah, I mean, besides injuries, yeah, he's because it's the man who's been very unlucky when it comes to injuries, but is still one of the best and probably the most underrated wrestler, not just in Impact but in wrestling. He does not get the he doesn't get the respect from the people watching. People in the industry, they know what he's about. They've seen what he can do. But people, the fans and the wrestling media, if you like, doesn't give Chris Sabin enough love. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's the fact that Chris Sabin is as good in 2022 as he was in 2003 when he debuted.
Yeah,
he's better because he's seasoned, but he can still do the stuff that he was doing in 2003. That's what blows my mind about Chris Sabin.
Yeah, he's my personal favorite wrestler. And I always say it's Jeff Hardy and Chris Sabin. Those are my two. When Chris Sabin won the World Championship, like I've said many times, but that was the first time I was fully invested on someone winning a World Championship. When it happened, I was so damn happy. It was the first time I really truly popped for anything in wrestling from a sofa. So someone you just keep him. He's exceptional. So we'll pause this there, and we'll continue this on next week, and we'll be starting off with Crazy Steve. So get your thoughts and feelings on about Crazy Steve. But we'll wrap it up there. This has been a podcast. This has been Talking Bloody Nonsense. Follow us here, there, everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you podcast. Drop a like and subscribe on here on YouTube because it all goes towards that YouTube algorithm, which helps us. 2 seconds from you helps us massively. So go ahead and do that for us if you can. TBN chats with so many people. Leon Slater coming very soon. Go check out every episode we've done that. There's so many incredible guests. So go check out those.
Yeah, the Zach Knight episode has just dropped. So go and check that out because that was a really fun chat.
Yeah, it's a very open and honest conversation. And also, if you want to know when the next fight there is, go check out that video. So as that, of course, go check out Jeff and Lucha now, it seems, on the Mothership every Sunday. Go check out LOL Q&A with Jeff, Johnny, and Lucha. So funny. The first 2 episodes have been total non-stop deletion. And
the second episode is the video game, isn't it?
Yeah, TNA video game, which was... I really love that game, and I want to play it again because of that.
Well, Craig, I just picked up a copy of TNA Impact, the video game, on the Wii. I had it on PS3 when it came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just picked up a copy on the Wii. So when we get together in a couple of weeks' time,
about 10 days.
yeah, we can have a session on that.
Awesome. So yeah, of course, go check out everything we do. It's a good time for the channel. So share this when you see it. Share all the episodes of TBN chats, and just enjoy wrestling because it's fun and it's an escape from this crazy ass world we're living in. So with that, I've been the MIC. This has been Nixon. I will continue to be Nixon until next time. Goodbye, my friends.